How surreal. A spaceship, who got scolded by a panda, is now crying and begging for fried rice. A spaceship, who got scolded by a panda, is now crying and begging for fried rice. And you know what's even more hilarious? It's that, in context, that line makes sense. I know, right? Just roll the intro. My Girlfriend is the President is pretty much exactly what you would think it is from its title. The story begins with aliens sending this lolly scientist to Earth in order to determine whether humanity is harmless or mostly harmless. Her name is Ku, and she looks like she's 7.
わらわは立派な大人の女なのだぞ。このゲームに出てくる登場人物はすべて18歳以上なのだ。
Oh right, I forgot. All characters are of legal age of consent and all that. Because eroge. After making her way to Earth, her ship ends up experiencing a major engine malfunction, and as a result crash lands right into our planet, destroying Japan's House of Parliament and taking out all of the nation's political leaders. Not the best way to engage first contact with a new species, even if that species is something as uninteresting as humans. So in order to prevent mass hysteria across the planet in the aftermath of this catastrophe, Ku decided to take the only logical countermeasures to remedy the situation. So grab the first human she could find, and then brainwashing all of humanity into completely forgetting everything about the accident, and then believing that this one girl was the president of Japan. Ta-da! Problem solved. And with that, over one single night, the United States of Nippon sprung into existence.
皮肉や疑いにあったら、私たち国民の精神をまとめる永遠の信念を持って、こう答えるのです。
All rise for President Yukino. President Yukino Ohama, by the way, if we're to use her full name. She's the first of the game's 4 heroines, and is described as the clumsy but happy anime girl who stays positive no matter what. She can occasionally pull off her job as president somewhat decently. Other times, however...
Yes! We jump!
Not so much.
Kyamu?
Yeah, we should move on from this awkward press conference. Now, with a setup like this, it would be natural to assume that this is basically a story about what the White House would be like if it got dropped into anime land. I would say that's true for Yukino's route, and to a lesser extent the introductionary part of the novel. However, the other 3 heroines' routes are far more keen to standard comedy slice-of-life routes, and they're spent mostly focusing on things like dates with heroines in maid outfits, debates about erogaze with the Director of Intelligence, hot spring episodes, and Japanese high school. Because, of course, high school. Now, if you enjoy comedy slice of life, then this shouldn't be an issue. But if you are primarily looking for a satire of the political system, then chances are that these 3 routes might disappoint you. Now, about to play a character. His name is Junichiro Hondo, and he largely doesn't have any form of clear personality traits, other than that he's a huge pervert, which incidentally is one of the game's primary sources for its comedy. For example, and I'm not gonna explain the context for any of these, I'll retaliate for sexual harassment with sexual harassment. Princess Yukino, prepare your breasts! Thanks to that, I'm having a girl shortage. My HP is already at 0. Therefore, I will peek at the girls changing. That is my code as a gentleman. I sexually harassed her many times before, but she hasn't gotten this angry until now. Seriously, in what context would that last line ever be an appropriate thing to say? I think your enjoyment of this game will depend heavily on whether you find June's behavior to be funny or not, as I'm certain a lot of readers are gonna find him extremely obnoxious, and if you're one of them, then you're probably not gonna like this visual novel. In fact, I would even go so far as to say that some of the game's infinite number of sex jokes could get pretty distasteful.
これはどういうことよ。
Ugh. Did I mention that there are 8 scenes in this game? Yeah, well, there are 8 scenes in this game. Shocking, right? That's Irina who just got sexually harassed there, by the way. Irina Vladimira Putina. And she's the president of Russia. I could not make this stuff up. I would give her some proper character description, but
別に嬉しくなんかないわよ。勘違いしないでよね。
But I don't think that's really necessary. Moving on, let's see who else we have around here. Okay, who turned off the lights?
体の力を抜いて。
This... why?
あなたは今から私の言うことだけに従うようになります。
I feel like I'm listening to one of those Japanese ear massage videos.
大統領よりお姉ちゃん。同い年より。
Now that you're even more uncomfortable than you already were before, that's Ran Mayoshi talking. She is the nation's chief of staff and the game's designated big-breasted older sister character. Quite a lot like Amane from Grisaya. She's the kind of character that you might expect to show up wearing nothing but an apron. Which totally ends up happening, by the way. And on that note, do you mind if I just ask, what's the deal with the naked apron thing? Like, I don't get it. Why does it keep showing up everywhere in anime and visual novels all the time? Like, why?
検索ワード。裸。
Wait, what?
エプロン。
No, L, I was joking. That wasn't the search request.
約233万件がヒットしました。
Really? There are that many search hits? Hold on, I just need to look this up. Okay, let's see. No. You are a little bit off. By like, more than 1 million. L, I think you need to go and update your search engine. This right here is L, by the way. She's the last of the game's 4 heroines and basically fills out the role of the sweet, innocent and lovely little kudere. Furthermore, on a side note, she's a spaceship. Yeah. And she's a spaceship with enough WMDs to blow up half the planet. So I'm a bit afraid that she might try and wipe out humanity if she ever watched any copies of the Terminator, so I think it would be safest to try and disable her right this moment before she...
そうはさせん。L、100万ボルトだ。ピーカー。
Oh, crap. It's super effective. Ugh. My Girlfriend is the President has got to be one of the most stupidly ridiculous VNs I've read so far, and that says quite a lot. But here's the thing, while it's even more mentally retarded than Donald Trump's election campaign, the game is completely self-aware of this fact, and it's always in on the joke. So, altogether, is this game fun? Is it entertaining? Yeah, kind of. I would say so. In a sort of facepalm and chuckle with a resigned smile kind of way. And with each route only being around 4 to 5 hours long, and the introductory part being a little over 4 hours, the total playtime is around 20-something hours. Since the game doesn't force you to read all of it though, you can drop it after finishing all the routes that you're interested in. That number can be cut down to less than 10 hours, which makes this a relatively light read. If this is your style of humor, and you can put up with all of its absurd fan service, then I would actually recommend giving it a try. If not, then you should probably stay away from this game, since, yeah, while it can be really funny, it's also pretty much as shallow as it looks.